I just said, I'm going to feed you. You just assumed I was. I guess there was a pizza emoji for the meat. Yeah, okay, all right. And I tried to go Domino's, the new Domino's in Greenville, but they weren't taking online orders this morning. So, all right. Anyways, enough about that. The session's being recorded. We do have virtual attendees. So if at any point you have a question, use that little raise your hand feature or just speak up. I don't mind being interrupted. I'm going to try. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm thinking I want to use the teacher station, but I also know that I can jump to my laptop because Edge is everywhere that I am, and it's also on a mobile device. So I'll try to show you, excuse me, from that perspective as well. So this Edge session is not going to be a deep dive. Okay, I'm not going to go deep in on any specific feature, and there's a ton of different features and functions. We're going to start with some basic stuff, and we're going to also talk about functionality, artificial intelligence, accessibility, and a lot of other things that might help you depending on your role. Because doing an on-campus session, I referenced the email listserv, doing an all-user session is something that applies to a lot of different areas, okay? So if something intrigues you and you're not quite sure what it is, let's have a conversation afterwards and dive a little further into it. And I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to do follow-up sessions if there's enough that would like to know more. So apparently it didn't save the slide I just added, but what are we going to cover today? Okay. So first of all, I want to give you some basics. Okay. So if you're moving from a different browser like Chrome or whatever browser you're using, okay, I want to show you how to do that. I also want to show you some features, as I mentioned. All right. So talk about things like workspaces and collections and how do you do a QR code and what's read aloud and what's immersive reader and how do they differ? Okay, and we're going to cover that. And I also want to answer any questions that you might have, because I'm guessing that you have questions about your area of work and how Edge might work for you. So we're going to dive right in. And the first thing I want to do is talk a little bit about the lay of the land. Now, I had a ton of tabs all set for this session on my laptop. And the cool thing is, I don't have to go in and send all those web addresses to myself. I don't have to go in and try and find them, because I can get to all those tabs very easily just by going to this little icon in the upper left-hand corner where there's a whole lot of items in that menu. And tabs from other devices will show me, if I go to this tab right here, all of my different devices that I have and the tabs that are open in that device. Okay. And all I have to do is click on this, and right before your eyes, it will open. If it doesn't go nuts because I have a lot of tabs open, okay, you will see all of those different browser windows are loading now and showing up. You're like, you have a lot of tabs. How do you stay organized? That's another question that we can talk about another day. All right. So I'm just going to open up a new tab, though, to begin, now that I brought all those over. Okay. And I was kind of want to show you the lay of the land. So you notice that I opened a new window here. And the nice thing about Edge is it's integrated with your work. So it's going to show some recent files that you might have access to, that you might be involved with some meetings, or you worked on a file. So you can see a file here from my OneDrive. You can see a file here from a meeting that I was involved with for the instant trigger. Okay. And I can get to other things. Okay. Like my content, I can quickly start a chat with people that I've chatted with in Teams recently. I can see my upcoming agenda. So just by opening a new tab in a web browser, I can see a lot of things. Okay. But if you're somebody that's like, hey, Kevin, can you back it up just a little bit? I want to know, how do I get all my information over from Chrome? And you can do that as well, okay? Because you have a settings menu over here on the right. And if you go to your settings, okay, you can do an import browser data. So profile and then import browser data. And you can see that you can import your history, your favorites, your passwords, your whatever, the cookies, okay, from your previous browser. So that makes it very easy for you to get in and get what you need. And you're like, hey, Kevin, I use a lot of extensions. Now, extensions are a little bit different, okay? It's not going to bring your extensions in, okay? To get your extensions, there's two ways for you to do that. You can go to the settings again and go to extensions, or you have your extensions toolbar up here and you can see all of your extensions are ready to roll, and you just have to make it so that you can see that, okay? Now, to make it a little easier, these are my pre-existing ones, okay? You also are going to want to sign in to Microsoft Edge here in the upper left-hand corner, okay? That's a big part of all of this, and I probably should have started with that, is making sure that you sign in Edge using your MCC account, right? And once you do that, like I said, then you will be able to then go to, clicked on the wrong one, manage extensions. And the key to that is to allow extensions from other stores. Now, in the name of security, I don't know for sure if we'll always have access to bring in all of our extensions. I feel like David said something about extensions recently.
We will be restricting extensions here soon, but if there's a specific one that you want, you can request it and we can enable it. And it's just a lot of, like Kevin said, it's for security. There's a lot of add-ins that can have malicious sort of software that will kind of point you to websites that you should be that you might not notice that you're going to. So
thank you. And that's Josiah for those of you tuning in virtually. So keep that in mind when it comes to your extensions. If it's something that might not be used for work, or if it's something that is very vital to your work, please let us know. Currently, everything pretty much goes. So moving right along, a little bit more of the lay of the land. When we create that new tab, there's a few more things that I want to point out. Obviously, the address bar has a lot of cool things. So if I just go to a familiar website here, okay, you're going to see like not much has changed. The read aloud is available. So if I click on this,
about
okay,
news,
it will start going through that. Now, obviously, a page with more content is going to make more sense here. And you can see that if you went to like a Canvas page or something like that. If you don't like the voice and how it is sounding, you can always change that. And there's a lot to choose from, right? Additionally, okay, another cool feature. Have you ever used a QR code before? Okay, you may have seen for this session that I sent out QR codes for all this session and future sessions. I created those right within Edge. So it's a little bit tricky. There's a couple ways to do it, but you might have noticed that some new things showed up here. So when I initially went to this site, there was no QR code. So what you have to do is click on the web address and then click out, and some other things show up. One of the things, as I mentioned, is create a QR code. All you do is click on it and it generates your QR code. You download it, okay? And then it's yours to take and add on whatever it is that you want to add it to. Okay, so flyers, things like that. Now, do be careful with QR codes. Don't go too wild with them, because there is a security concern with the QR codes, in that if you have one on the wall, somebody probably could walk up and put their own QR code over it. That could be malicious. It's not likely to happen, but a lot of these things aren't likely to happen. So just be aware of that when you're working with QR codes. Okay. In addition to that, you can always right click, and that will allow you to generate a QR code as well. So you can see create QR code for this page. You do that, it pops up just the same, right? If you want to change the web address, you can always paste in your own QR code. So if you didn't want to generate one for montcalm.edu, you had a different website, you could paste it in right here. It will change this QR code right before your eyes. Let me see if I can get it to do it. You can see that just like that, it's changing things. All right. And we can then download that, which will take us to a different site. All right. So QR codes can be very useful, very easy to use, and very easy to generate using Edge browser. In addition to that, if you wanted to ship this page off to a different device, you can see all of your associated or attached devices are right here. So maybe I want to quickly send it to my mobile device. You can see my iPhone is connected, and I can send it to my mobile device. So I'm going to go leave my desktop computer, and I'm going to be out and about. I just go to my mobile Edge browser, and it will pop up for me. There it is right there at the bottom. I say open, and just like that, MCC's website that I just sent to my mobile device pops up. So if you don't have the mobile Edge browser, I recommend that you get the mobile Edge browser. And there's going to be some more features that I'm going to show you as well. You can see that all of your favorites are here. Your bookmarks, whatever you want to call them, are available to you. Moving down the right-hand side of the screen, okay, you're going to see something called Copilot, right? Now, Copilot's cool because that's where we start talking about artificial intelligence. So if I click on Copilot, a little side window opens up, and this is my little AI bot right here. All right. And there's a lot to this. Okay. You can see at the top, I'm just using the chat. All right. If I wanted to use the fuller feature of the chat, I can go to bing.com/chat, and that will show right here. Okay. If I don't want to do it that way, and I'm on a regular Bing search and I scroll up, it should scroll up as well and bring me to the Bing chat. So there's several ways for you to access. I keep calling it Bing chat. It's technically called Copilot if you're into correct terminology. So from here, you can ask, you can do your standard web searches. You can also get into AI things like, can you give me some ideas for assessing students in my Math 101 course? Now, that's not very good information, okay, for the AI chatbot, but you can see that they're going to start giving me some ideas in terms of what I'm going to do. Okay. From here, I could always do a chain prompt. Maybe I like the scrapbook idea. Okay. Can you give me more examples on the scrapbook idea? I liked that. Okay, and I guess I got to wait for it to give me the first answer before I ask for more answers. Okay. Now, some of you might be worried about security. When it comes to security, Bing Chat is 100% secure. So when it comes to an educational standpoint, dealing with things like FERPA and stuff like that, this is a very secure AI chatbot that we have here. Okay. This also gives you free access to DALL-E. For those of you that aren't familiar with what that is, that's the AI image generator, although it hasn't been working as well as it used to be working. And I'll try it real quick. Can you create an image of a centurion attending a workshop on Microsoft Edge? Normally it does a pretty good job of giving me like 4 different images, and hopefully it comes through in this session. Oh, it's going to do it. All right. Put on a show for all of you. And so what this is going to do is going to generate 4 different AI images based on what I asked. So I said, hey, can you create an image of a centurion attending a workshop on Microsoft Edge? Would you look at that right there? Okay, and I can go and take it a step further. Can you make sure they are green and yellow? To have a little fun here. See if it comes through for me again. It's going to do it. And while it's doing it, I want to generate your attention back to this upper right, this sidebar here, okay? Because I was in the chat, but if you go to the compose, I've sent this out in an email before, but you can actually have AI write you some things. And I'm like, I know that it's not your original content. There's our images right there. See, they made them green and yellow for us. That's great. But you can have it write for you. For me, when it comes to AI, it's a starting block. It's a foundation. Okay, it's a place to start to get me off the writer's block. All right, and so you can set the tone. You can tell them, hey, I'm trying to write an email. I'm trying to write a LinkedIn post. You get the idea. You can set the length, and it will generate that for you. This is all within the Edge browser right here. Okay. Staying on this right-hand side as we go down, this taskbar is very helpful as well. So you can see that I've added my Outlook emails. So if I wanted to see my emails real quick, they're right here within the Edge browser. All right. I can also add things like, oh, it's right there, OneDrive. All right. So if I'm a OneDrive user, all of you are, okay, I can sign into my OneDrive and access my OneDrive files right from here. I'm not going to do it right now, but you can easily, and I recommend signing in from this little thing in the upper right-hand corner instead of where it says sign in. I found that it works better. Okay. But what I really want to show you on this little sidebar is this drop feature. Okay. So I got a new MacBook, and for whatever reason, my Bluetooth is not working with my MacBook and my phone. I take pictures and send pictures back and forth a lot. Okay. With my different devices. Drop is a great way, as you can see, to help out with that. Okay, so I can take a picture from my phone, hop on my Edge browser. Okay, so let me actually do that really quick. Smile. All right, and if I go to my Edge browser and go to drop, I'm going to add that photo that I just took of all of you. There it is. Add it. Might take a second for it to upload, but we should see it here momentarily. All of your smiling faces. There we go. There it is. Okay. So it's a very easy way for me to get something from not just one device, but to many devices anywhere that I'm signed in into Edge.
Not just images, that's files.
Could be files, could be websites. Yeah, could be a lot of different things. I could take a web clip right here. So another awesome feature is the ability for you to do a web capture. So I just right clicked, and there's a key sequence as well that you could use. Okay, but I should be able to. There we go. I don't need to use this tool. Do a web clip, just like that. I want to send those AI images to me. There we go, just like that. Okay. So any device I have, and you're like, why don't you just use Teams? You could. Okay. Why don't you just email it to yourself? You could. All right. This is just another way to do it. So that chances are you're working in Edge quite a bit. Okay. It's easy for you to get to it. And I often forget about this feature. At least I did before I started using it more. But you can see that I've been using it quite frequently. And you can write yourself a note as well. Okay. Be sure that when you get to your office, you respond to that email. And you can send a note real quick. So the drop thing is on the sidebar, and the right-hand sidebar, it looks like a little paper airplane icon. Oh, you had to add it? Okay. I thought it was a default app. I'm sorry. Yeah, in that case, you just click on the plus and type in drop. And it looks like a paper airplane. There it is. Yep, I'm sorry about that. See, I learned from you. I just thought that was a default feature in Edge and always available. One more thing about kind of the lay of the land here. When I open up a new tab, you can see that there's something called Microsoft Rewards. Get this, as you do things and use Edge, you can add rewards. And I actually have enough right now for a $10 Amazon gift card just by doing my job. I know. Is it too good to be true? Could be. Okay. But we'll spend the money and worry about that later, right? All right. Any questions so far as I peruse my list to make sure that I hit on the obvious things here? Yeah. No, that's native to Edge. So did you click in the web address, then click out and then click back in and then out, and it should show the little icon. You might have to enable it too in the settings, maybe. Let me see. Maybe it is something that had to be enabled. Okay. It's almost like a code that you have to put in to get to the QR code. You know, it's sort of weird. All right. So for those of you that use lots of tabs, and you're probably like, yeah, I always have too many tabs open. Don't feel shamed. That's okay. All right. Join the club. All right. I have lots of tabs. It's kind of like my to-do list. It's how I keep track of things. I'm like, I can't close that tab. I might use it someday. Okay. You might say that's a hoarder. There's different terminology for it. I say it's just productivity. Okay. So I love tab browsing. For those of you that don't use tab browsing, I recommend getting comfortable with right-clicking on things that you want to go to and opening a new tab. You don't always have to do it, but if you want to keep your page where you're at right now, like maybe you're working on something and referencing something and you want to open something new, right-click, new tab. All right. But once you start accumulating a lot of tabs, Edge has a feature for you. And to find that feature, there's a couple different ways. You can either right-click on a tab, okay, and you can add it to a tab group, okay? You can also take a tab. So I have a couple Canvas tabs here. In fact, I have a couple 1, 2, 3, 4 Canvas tabs. And I can click on it, hold it down, and drag it over another tab, and it will start a group. And it will even try and name that tab group for me in Structure. I hate that they're called in Structure. I want them to just be known as Canvas, but I don't get what I want all the time. It shouldn't be blue. It should be kind of a reddish because that's the color of Canvas, even though that's pink. And I want to add a couple more to it. I just click on them and drag them on over. Where'd that other one go? I think it's right here. Just like that. Okay. And now I can take that tab group and I can click on it and it will shrink it. All right. And I can take that tab group when I'm ready to use it again and I can bring it back up and find, oh yeah, there's that Canvas tab. So it helps with your organization. But if you're concerned about your ability to organize things, I'd have my kids do this, for example. I would click on this menu up here and I would say group similar tabs, and it's going to do it for me. So you can see I already have one group established, and they're going to make me wait a little bit. And I know that this works because I just did it again this morning for the thousandth time. It's going to let me down. I have too many tabs. Let me see if I can get it in another window. We were unable to group your tabs. Of course you were. That's what happens when we do a session and try and feature things. This is a smaller one. Let's try this. Even though more tabs would have been more impressive. Okay, so there it goes, just like that. Okay, we say go ahead and group the tabs. All right. I'm still a little bit let down because I really wanted the other one to work because it is so cool. I'm going to give it one more shot to try and group my tabs because it actually will go through and identify. There we go. Tabs that are similar. Okay. We got tabs related to LTI tools in Canvas. We have just general search tabs here. We can see it's still trying to finalize those groups. And they want some feedback on how they did. So I can cruise through like, you didn't do too bad. Looks like, we have some couple different ones, and we'll give you a thumbs up and go ahead and group those tabs. And there we go. Okay. So we have all our tabs that we had before, and now we can go through the ones that we're not using and kind of shrink those things. All right. And maybe there's something, we would have one called Montcalm. All right. That has things like my Montcalm and our login or my OneDrive and different searches related to that. Okay. So grouping tabs can be very helpful. Once you have those tabs grouped, or even if you don't, if you're somebody that likes to view things top to bottom instead of left to right or right to left, you can turn on vertical tabs. So we can take that tab toolbar and move it over to the left-hand side. Okay, so everything's right there. So if you're like, I'm so frustrated, I have so many tabs and I just can't stop, this might make it a little bit easier for you when it comes to tab browsing. Okay, and just like before, you can close them if you want. You can move your tabs. You can rename your tab groups. If you're like, hey, this meeting could go actually into the Montcalm area, I can easily drag and drop that in the Montcalm area, and you notice that things go away. All right. We can minimize them from here as well. Okay. So there's a lot of functionality, and you're like, well, what if I want to go back to vertical? This icon moves a little bit, goes from up here to down here. You can turn off vertical tabs, and you're back to where you were before. If you're still a little bit confused, you're like, I like that, I'm going to use that, but I still need help finding things. There's the ability to search your tabs. So if you go to search tabs and you're like, I was working on something with micro credentials and I can't find it, there it is right there. Okay. And it will take me right to that micro credential article that I was reading. But I don't feel like reading it for myself. So this is where I'm going to go up here, and you can see that immersive reader and read aloud are both here now. All right. So when it comes to accessibility, yes, I did just kind of switch gears a little bit, but I think this is a great website to show it. You have the read aloud that I showed you before.
What are micro-credentials? A complete guide. Initials have exploded in pop.
And you notice that as I click
field.
through it, I don't have to read exactly where it's at. Okay. I can click through.
Credentials have exploded in popularity over the last several years, with thousands of options for professional development available online.
Speed it up slow
online.
now.
But what are micro-credentials?
Micro-credentials, and can they really change your career?
Carrière. Wie deze insight deepens on your personal goals, earning a micro-credential can be a powerful step to.
Okay. Now, if you want to take it a step further, they have another more functional tool with more features called the immersive reader. And that will open it up into a totally different type of page okay, with a lot more options. So you have read aloud built into immersive reader still, okay? So if you have a student or somebody comes to you and says, hey, this isn't working for me, I need it read to me, but I have to change some things. I want to increase the size of the text, okay? You can do that with a click of a button, all right? If the text is too close together, you can change that, all right? If the font is not something that works for you, you can change that as well, all right? And you can see there's a lot of different adaptations that can be made. And but wait, there's more comes in, and you can even change the background colors. This is immersive reader. Yep, good question. So if I back up, okay, now immersive reader is generally going to show up. It's not going to show up in Canvas because it's built into Canvas. And I think I just clicked on a tab that might take me to a new page on accident. So if you go up here over to the right, you'll see read aloud, and you'll also see immersive reader. You don't have it? Okay, so that might be another one that you have to enable in your settings. Okay, I might have to look into that one. I thought that was native as well because I've always had it. It shouldn't be a Mac thing, Heather, because I am Heather just sent a chat on the Teams, asked if it was a Mac thing. I'm actually on the teacher station computer, and I have it as well. It doesn't show up in Canvas. I know you're not in Canvas right now because Canvas has a built-in immersive reader. Maybe it helps if you're on maybe it depends on the site that you're on. So if I'm on this one that has more text, it's more likely to show up. But you can change, like I was saying, you can change a lot here. You can show it line by line. Okay, you can space out the lines. You can put it in a whole different language if you'd like as well and have it translated. All right, so if we have English as a second language, this can help with that as well. So your possibility, and this is all, like I said, within Edge. All right. Any questions on that other than I don't have it? All right. Moving along. So if you are somebody that browses, and I'm missing, and needs multiple different profiles, you can add a second profile. So if I were to share like from my Edge on my laptop here, I have an Edge profile set up for different MCC test users that I use frequently, like students. So I just pop in quick to that. If I'm like setting up a test assignment, I'll have that student submit an assignment in a test course. And it's very easy for me to pop around and I don't have to re-sign in and things like that. And while I'm here, you can also see how many Microsoft rewards I have. I'm always up there. Like I said, that'll give me like $10 in Amazon. So don't get your hopes up too much. I don't want you to be let down. You can also, if you need to do a browsing in a private window, you click on your menu dots and you'll see the new and private window. So if you have to try a different account or something like that, they use, I think Chrome calls that incognito mode. There you go. Thank you. So yeah, those are some basics right there as far as that goes. Back to the menu here. If you accidentally close a tab, you can go to your recently closed tabs. I use that all the time. I'm like, shoot, I didn't mean to close that. All is not lost. If you were a Chrome user, you probably are familiar with this, but it's very easy to get to. So the next thing I want to show you is something called workspaces. And this is a relatively new feature. Do you ever work with anybody? Do you ever work on collaborative projects and need to share websites? Well, then workspaces are for you, okay? And it's this other little icon over on the left, okay? You simply click on it and you will see your different workspaces. I only have one right now, but you can add another one, okay, if you'd like. EdTech sessions. So if I want to invite you all into this, I'll make it green and hit done, and that will establish a workspace, okay? Now, nothing really changes other than the fact that over on this right-hand side, you'll now see an invite. So I can take this and I can invite all of you to this. Okay, so Michelle pops up. I can invite Michelle. Well, I invite Josiah. I'm not going to keep going. Don't feel left out. And I send them an email. Now, they're just going to get nothing right now because I don't have any sites. But as I start building this, okay, I want you to have montcalm.edu. It's kind of a go-to. Okay, I want my Montcalm in there. Okay, and just like that, we've set up a workspace. Okay, and I can share websites related to our resources, and I can hop out of that workspace really easy by hitting leave workspace. Okay, but the nice thing is now when I return to it, of course, it's still going to probably generate on the back end. It should then be there for me to get back to. Okay, for this one, I'm just going to show you my micro-credential one. Takes me to there. You can see all my different micro-credential websites. I can share this with others and they can have access to it. And I must have accidentally hit maybe delete workspace when I left it the last time. Oh, I don't want to remove it. No wonder I did the wrong thing. Okay, so I just want to get out of that. I just X out of that, right? All right. Any questions on those things? So another item that's very similar to workspaces, but it's only for you, is something called collections. And that's over on the right-hand side. Okay. Collections allows you to build different resource collections. Okay. So if you're teaching a unit and you want to start gathering resources, but you don't want to just put them on like a Word document or something like that, or store them in your email. Okay. You can start a new collection by clicking Start New Collections. And you can also share these collections, but it's not going to be a collaborative thing like Workspace. So like Workspace, since I invited Michelle and Josiah, they could go in that workspace and add websites to that workspace as well. If I share this collection with all of you, you're just going to get that collection. You're not going to be able to affect my collection here in any way. But regardless, you can start building like resources for different things that you're working on called collections. So I'm on this current page. I actually don't want to add this one, but maybe there's a stream video I want to add to this collection. Actually, I'm just going to add this Canvas site to my collection, and I can either right click on it and I can add it to a collection from there. Okay, not going to do it. Or I can go to the collection area itself, okay, and add the current page to it. I can add notes to the collection. So if there's something that I want to tell myself about the collection, or there was a great quote from a session that I was attending that I want to add to a collection, I can do that. There's like little note pads in there. Okay. If I need to get rid of things, I can click on the collection item and hit delete to get rid of it. Okay. I can, like I said, I can send it off to different other Microsoft products. And I can share it very easily as well using the share icon. Any questions on collections? All right, so we got workspaces, we got collections, talk tab groups and profiles, web capture. Oh, another one. Let me go ahead, circle back to my extensions. And I had Microsoft Editor hidden. But I do want to show you that Microsoft Editor is kind of, anyone who use like the Grammarly extension, Microsoft Editor is very similar to that, only it's a Microsoft product. And Editor, if I were to go to, actually, if I go to one of these pages right here, actually, I'm going to go to my test course, because this is my GNST course, and I don't want to do an example in there and confuse some people. So if I go to my test course, editor functionality exists in Edge. So if I go to edit this and I want to add some content to this homepage here. You can see that it tries to predict, text prediction exists in Edge. All right. And you can see that at editor, if I click on these items, that it says the editor functionality, editor logos right there, exists as my spell checker. Okay. And if I were to go further, it will also identify, like things like my grammar and stuff like that. If you want to adjust your editor features, you can. Obviously, you'll have to sign in. Okay. But you can also say, hey, I want you to check my grammar. we'll have to sign in to do that. And there's a ton, like you'll scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll because there's so many different refinements that it can check on. So if you would like to have it check and proof your writing, definitely use Microsoft Editor. Another feature that's cool, told you I was going to throw a lot of features your way, is a translator ability within Edge browser. So if I happen to find myself on a site that I can't read because I didn't take the time to learn the specific language that it's displaying, don't worry, Edge will do that for you. Okay, so you notice if you look closely, a new icon has popped up here on this French website. Okay, and if anything inappropriate shows up, I can't take the blame because I can't read it. But it'll give me if it sees it in another language, it will recognize that and say, hey, do you want to translate this from French? And so I can cruise in here and I can find English. I thought I could find, oh, it's right at the top. Perfect. And this should, there we go. This should translate it. And now I don't have the excuse that I didn't know what it said, David. That's why I was on it. Okay. So you can translate it. Now that's only going to show up on a page that's in a different language. Right. And it might be something that you have to enable in your settings as well. One more item up here. I think this is it. Don't hold me to it. But there's also the split screen. So if you're somebody that takes a web page and you don't, you maybe already have two monitors, but maybe you only have one monitor and you want to split your screen, you can put it in split screen mode and go to another site, okay, and work off two screens within one screen right here within Edge. Okay, so it has a split screen feature. So if you're Dan Long teaching a math class and you want to show your PowerPoint and also your Microsoft Whiteboard, you can do that right within the browser window. You're like, it's a little bit too small, but that's for your students to then join the Teams meeting and then zoom in, right? I don't know. Just throwing ideas out. All right. Any other questions or questions in general? Am I just answering all your questions so far? Yes, you'll have to add that extension. Good question. Let me check my notes. Immersive reader, read aloud, translate, check from an accessibility standpoint. AI, compose, we did that on the sidebar. Editor, Copilot, image generator. I think we pretty much covered everything that I set out to cover in this session. Is there anybody that has anything that they would like to have in their browser that I did not currently show you? That you like, oh, I use this in Chrome or I use this in my other browser, but it would sure be helpful if I could use it in Edge. Or Kevin, you talked about this feature. Can you circle back to it? That's why we're here. And if you're virtual, you can ask questions as well.
Hey, Kevin, I missed where we go for the image grabber feature.
The image, so it was a QR code or to
No,
create?
I think you were doing something with drop, but you were showing how we could capture small portions of the screen as images, I think.
Nope, that's good. So there's two different ways. I'm glad you asked that because you can do image capture just by right-clicking, okay, and hit image capture. And just like that, like if you're like, hey, I want to show this or that, okay, you can do that right from here, okay? And then you can copy that and then paste that into a Teams chat or whatever you want to send it to. Or you're like, hey, Kevin, you sent me this video right here, okay? You can go to the drop option, and right here, screenshot, that will allow me to have that for future. And you can even annotate it, okay? Just like that. So for this one, I did that from the drop feature. Okay, but you can also right click on it. So I just right click and I hit web capture. And I think it also said Control Shift S is the keyboard shortcut. And I can mark it up from here as well if I wanted to. Okay, just like that. Now, Heather, when I use on my Mac, I have it set for when I take a web capture that it sends it automatically to Snagit. But there's a lot of different options with that as well, but it also exists in Edge. Any other questions about Microsoft Edge? So your first step, if you're not using Edge already, obviously, is to get Edge. You should have it on all your work devices, sign into it. And from there, if you need to bring over your content, the service desk can help you. You can also, as I said, go to the settings there, set the setting or the menu, then the settings, and then import browser data right here. It's the first one you'll go to, import browser data. Other than that, if there's no other questions, I'll hang out for a little bit. Yes, Josiah.
One thing, that's you can have full profiles as well.
Yep.
Which will, if you're a student and you're working here, it's really helpful to kind of keep your credentials separate so that the browser doesn't get like confused or anything with your credentials on getting to like Canvas or to other things. So that's one thing that I suggest looking into if that kind of that's your situation.
And that's an excellent use case right there. So my example was, and I don't remember the password of the test user right now, is my test users that I have and popping in and using those test users. But if you have a student, like if you're in student services and a student's like, I'm an employee and also a student, using Edge is a great way for them to pop from their student account to their employee account and vice versa. So that's a good one. Does anybody else have any? I know that all of you have probably used Edge. Do you have any use cases that you'd like to share, any features that you might share with everybody else on how you have found Edge to be helpful? Other than collecting rewards. Like you can play games and search for things that give you more rewards points, by the way. I'm not trying to take away from your productivity at work or anything like that, but yeah, there's lots of different options in the rewards program. Just got to think about what I'm going to use just a $10 Amazon gift card for. Looks like you can get streaks too. So if you're somebody that is a Snapchat user and you're addicted to streaks, looks like it has it in Edge too. Cool. All right. Well, that's all I have. Like I said, if you have any questions, stick around. If you have anything else you'd like to share, but didn't want to share with a greater audience, stick around. And if not, grab some pizza. And thanks for coming to hang out with us. Yeah, anytime. Next month, we have another session as well, but I think that one's faculty focused. The other all users one's going to be an AI one, and I'll be sure to let you know. I think that is in April or March. Oh my gosh, let me stop my recording first.
Good idea.